Hey guys, how you doing? If this is your first video watching, welcome to One Dad's Garage. If you watched my intro video, welcome back to One Dad's Garage. Like I said in my first video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 1965 Ford F100 that I will be rebuilding and getting back on the road. That's what most of my videos are going to be about. I may squeeze in a couple extra videos. I mean, I do live in an area that gets snow. So here in a couple months, I'll be putting my snow blower attachment on my lawnmower. I might film that out, because I do it in the garage, and it is One Dad's Garage. So, but let me start with the engine. So it's a 1965 Ford F100 short bed fleet side, and this is a 460. How I got this engine is quite the story. My brother used to work for a piston company, which they also did crate motors, and he worked with two of my friends. And one year the owner told my brother, hey, we didn't do that great. I've got this engine, it was just the short block end of it. And he's like, if you want to take that and sell it, that'll be your Christmas bonus. So he's like, okay. Because what had happened was somebody was starting to get this motor built for a drag car for whatever reason, couldn't do it, and they had it at the shop. So the original person that was buying it dumped about 10 grand into just the lower end, crank piston, the boring of it, the whole nine. So I'm not 100% on everything that's inside it. I mean, I do know it has like Ross pistons. I'm sure it has good, it appears to have like good bearings and rods and all that type of stuff since it was going into a drag car. So I acquired it from my brother. And then a friend of mine that also worked there worked more up in the front office and parts area, whatnot. And he said, hey, if you can get that off your brother, I can probably get you all the rest of the parts that you need for it cheaper than I can get you a crate motor, because originally I was going to order a crate motor from him. So I'm like, yeah. So cut a deal with my brother, bought it off my brother. My friend got the build sheet, and we went through it. He went to his engine builder and said, hey, I need to tone this down a tad. It's not going into a drag car anymore. It's going into hot rod, street rod, whatever you want to call them. I refer to everything as a hot rod, whether it's a hot rod, street rod, rat rod. You know what? If it's old and you get on it with this, it's a hot rod as far as I'm concerned. If you're into the modern ones, as long as you're out there tinkering and wrenching, well, that's your hot rod. I'm good with that too. I'm not picky. So went ahead and got the rest of the top end stuff on it, and then put the heads on it. And then when I moved here, I had it stored in my cousin's garage. And my cousin he's the ultimate gearhead. He's good at all of it. He's good at building engines, anything automotive and motorcycle related. My cousin can do it. I mean, it's his forte. He's real good at it. So he had called me one day and said, hey, do you mind if I start tinkering with your engine? Because I had all my parts to complete it over at his house. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So he tinkered with it and was sending me pictures here and there. And he's like, hey, you mind if I just finish it out? I know you want to work on it with me, and I said, you know what? Yeah, go for it. So he got the measurements all dialed in for push rods, and basically, long story short, he got it all reassembled and ready to go. We took it to a dyno, and it did 589 horsepower, 635 foot-pounds of torque on pump gas. So I'm like, yeah, I can live with that. This truck doesn't weigh anything. So if we're managed to be able to drive down the road and not completely spin the tires all the time, it'll be fantastic. But so be it. It's a hot rod, right? The old throttle pounder doesn't care. My throttle pounder does not care whether it's a small engine or big engine, or whether you're spinning the tires or not. It just likes to pound on the throttle. A little bit about it. I've got some trick flow heads on it. It's got an Edelbrock like air gap intake, and it's got a Holley 950 CFM carburetor. And some of you might look at it and say, damn, why such a big carburetor? Well, two of my favorite sayings as an adult probably started when I had kids. One of them is because I said so, and the other one is because I want to. So the 950, I believe, if I remember back then, was recommended by the engine builder, plus I wanted to. So I went ahead and threw that big dog on it because, we don't build these for gas mileage. All right. There's nothing about this is going to be gas mileage friendly. That's okay. I can live with that. As long as I can get from one gas station to the next and fill her up and keep on going, I'm happy with that. So I will bring you guys in a little bit closer to this in a little bit, because I did like some QA1 suspension. There is some stuff done on this truck that I did before I got the idea from my son to start filming it. So the things that I kind of took pictures of, I'll bring you guys in closer. We'll do a little walk around on it and whatnot. But I've got a lot of things to do to it before I can get it back on the road. I got to get a new radiator support. I got to get a complete brake system. This originally had a 352 in it, which I have sitting over in the corner, and it had a C6 that mounts up to that 352, the FE block. I also have a C6 for this block. This is a 385 series big block. So I have the C6 for actually both engines. But when it was converted, they put a new cross member in it and left the old one in it, which I believe is for the original stick shift in it. This truck originally was a stick shift. I believe it was a 3 on the tree. It's got all the stock, all 3 pedals in there. So when I put the QA1 suspension on, I hung on to that cross member just in case it's for the manual transmission that I now have. So I probably screwed you guys up on that. Originally, I was going to put a C6 in this and just make it automatic. Then I came across a 4-speed top loader out of a 70 Fairlane that was behind a 429, which is also the 385 series. So it bolts right up to this and should bolt right up to this. So anyway, I get a little sidetracked, a little scatterbrained day today. Today's been one heck of a day. It's later in the day right now, so this video may not be super long. I don't know, but let me continue. So I kept the original cross member in case I need it now for the manual transmission. I had to remove it because when I did the QA1 suspension, it utilized the holes that where the bolts of the front of that cross member go. So if that is the cross member that I need, I'm going to have to notch those out, modify it up a little bit and get it back in here. But that is definitely something I will be videoing. You're going to see videos on all that stuff. So we'll come back to this. I'll walk around it here in a minute and give you just a quick little overview of some of the things I've done to it. But right now, what I wanted to do was I need to chase the threads on the bell housing. So let me turn the camera. Sorry, I'm not real great at all this yet. I'll try to edit out as much as I can so you don't see my big fat paws right up in your grill, because I tend to do that. So anyway, got the bell housing up on a table. When I originally got this transmission, there was so much like surface rust or grease or Loctite in there. I couldn't tell if they were 3/8 or 7/16. So through my research that I did, I found, because originally I found that it said they could be 7/16 or 3/8. Well, then I reread it and read a couple more and clarified that these should be 7/16 by 14 thread count, where the top bolts for the top plate on the top loader are the 3/8. So anyway, they were so marred up and gunk in them that you couldn't tell, because I got a 3/8 in there and it kind of felt tight, but I'm like, I don't think that's it. And I was having trouble just getting a 7/16 started in it. And that's what made me think it wasn't a 7/16. But when I finally saw that it should be, I decided, well, let me try tapping them out. Worst case scenario, if they're smaller, I'll drill them out, but I'm pretty confident. So I'm going to go ahead. I know it's pretty basic. I've got it up on this stand because I don't want to sit on the ground anymore. I'm getting a little older. I am in my 50s. So laying on the ground I don't like to. If I don't have to, I'm not going to. Yeah, see, that feels a lot better. For those of you that don't know, sometimes you just got to chase the threads a little bit. It cleans them up. As long as you know the size, in my experience, it cleans them up. You get hopefully if it hadn't been stripped out, but even if it did, I've been able to fix light threads that have been stripped a little bit. But it's always good to do, especially on something older like this. This thing's been sitting in some other dude's garage, the guy that I bought it off of, for God knows how long. I believe he said he at one time had a transmission shop. Um, and it looked like it. I mean, his garage was full of stuff, tons of Ford parts. I think he even had the the 429 block that this came off of. So I don't want to. The one thing I don't want to do is crush. See, that's the marred up part. I'm getting a little resistance, not too crazy. Um, so like I said, I'm pretty confident with just some junk in there, um, because I know one of the other things I tried to do is to figure out the bolt sizes. I tried to put a 7/16 through the actual holes in the transmission, and they wouldn't go through. And then I looked in it, and it's got a bunch of like gunk. I was all excited, and I just wanted to mount the two together. So when I took a breath and actually looked and took my time and calmed down a little bit from being excited, I saw that it had a bunch of I don't know if it's like old dried grease or Loctite, because it's almost like a white or gray color, which I don't know. It was so dried and nasty that it almost resembled like old plastic. Um, so that was kind of throwing me off, and I didn't want to shove a drill bit through there or anything and attempt to clean those out until I knew for sure what size these holes were. So I just did a lot more research on the internet, and then I finally found that okay, yeah, these should be 7/16 by 14 threads, and the top plate on the transmission should be, I believe it said that those were the 3/8 bolts, and maybe the two over here for the, I believe it was a clutch arm that went in here. I am going to be going full hydraulic clutch on this because I don't have all the linkage for the stock stuff, and there isn't the setup that's in there and the setup that I looked at. There should be something over on this side of the bell housing for that arm to come across and hook to. This doesn't have that. I'm not sure how it mounted when it was in the car that it was in, but regardless, I'm going to update it and I'm going to go with, I want to go full hydraulic. So I'll probably be walking in and out of camera a little bit, just because my workbench is over there, but my workbench as well as the rest of my shop is kind of a pigsty right now. So there we go. That I couldn't even get close to doing this before. I mean, there was so much gunk in it that that's like butter now. That is so smooth. It's nothing like what it was. I mean, if it gives you any indication, you know, I had these two bottom holes. I was convinced they were 3/8 because there was so much gunk in there that when I ran the bolt in, like you couldn't shake the bolt, where the front two you kind of could. So, but oops. Luckily, I did my research, like all of us try to, and that world of difference. So I'm gonna put this down here. I've got a couple 4x4s on the ground, and the reason I've got the 4x4s on the ground is I'm gonna clean the holes out in the transmission real quick, and then I want to mount the two together, but I don't want to smack the input shaft onto the ground, so I've got it up on some 4x4s just to be safe, because the last thing I need to do is damage that, Lord knows. Oh, I don't know why I went to the gym today if I'm going to be out here lifting transmissions, for criminy sakes. So let me get my drill bit out, and we're just going to clean those up a little bit. That's all I want to do, is just to make sure that the bolts can slide through a little easy. Like I said, they're not crazy, but they're just enough where the bolts don't really want to go through the hole. So I know it might be a little hard to see. Oh yeah, it's getting that, whatever that stuff, whatever somebody had in there is coming right out. I mean, there's like a little pile of it down here on the, can't quite tell what it is. I don't know if it's like old grease or old Loctite. I don't know. Kind of weird. But who knows? It's probably something that somebody did a long time ago. I don't know. You don't know. Who knows? You know, when you're buying used parts, we all have been there. You take that risk of getting something that's not that great or getting something that's good. Yeah, see, that's not. I couldn't do this before. There was so much gunk in there. The other thing is, the guy that I bought it off of, I don't know what kind of paint he put on there. I don't know if this is some like real thick automotive paint. I don't know if he sprayed it on. I don't know. But I'm gonna sandblast it off. I just want to get this back down to its original, just the color of the case and the bell housing, because it's so thick in areas that it like hinders stuff. And I think that was a little combination of what was in these holes, maybe in the threads. I don't know. But he told me that he painted it. Um, and he literally painted it, I think he said, ironically, just to look a little better. But, you know, now I've got to get that crap off of it because it's all like, I mean, it's bubbled up and it's thick. I don't know how else to explain. I know it's probably hard to see on camera, but it's thick. And I want to get it off of there because he's got it on surfaces that, you know, don't need it, that kind of need bare metal to go back and forth. So let me see if I can have a little more oomph left in me to get that on there without, you know, blowing my back or anything out. Oh, look at that. Yeah. I see. Much better. All right, let me get this table out of the way so you guys, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. If not, I'll try to adjust the camera. So, sorry, I know I am such the amateur with this stuff. But, of course, I could probably just lower the tripod a little bit. Better? Okay. All right, so let's see if we can't get these in here. Oh, there we go. Oh, like butter. I mean, you don't even know. I mean, like when I originally got this thing, I got worried because I'm like, oh my God, I can't get any size in here. You know, what the heck is going on? So yes, this is, it's nice. Yeah. All right, let me get a wrench and we'll get tightening on that, get that tightened up a little bit. You know, it's probably going to come apart another 10 times or so because I'm just trying to get this dialed in so we can get it, so I can get it mocked up. You know, I'm not worried about it being forever. I'm not going to put a torque wrench on it right now. I just want to get it where I can mock it up onto the engine because I got to pull the engine out, get it mocked up. I want to see if that cross member is the one that I need, all that type of stuff. So one of the other things I'm going to video is when I do take the engine out. When we had it on the dyno, I believe we were 180 out on the timing. So when we took the distributor and went to spin it, ironically, the oil pump shaft fell into the oil pan. So yeah, go figure, just my luck. Yeah, I have the no luck of the Irish, and you'll see the no luck. The more you watch, you'll see my no luck take effect. It's crazy. You know, if it can happen to somebody, it's going to happen to me. Trust me. But on a side note, anyway, so long story short, we had to take the pan off. Well, where the pan, you know, comes around the front and the back, up in those two corners right there, I had a little RTV in there, and when we took the pan down, obviously the RTV got interrupted. So then when we ran it on the dyno, the one side, which would be eventually is going to be behind the power steering pump, had a very slow drip. And I'm like, I'm not putting this in this truck. I'm going to run it starting off with an oil leak. So when I do take the engine back out, which will probably be on the next video, I'm also going to put it on the engine stand and drop the pan, clean it up, and then put the RTV on. The gasket I have is like a rubbery silicone one, so it's reusable. So I'm not worried about the gasket, but I do want to get some new RTV up in there. Oh, this is money. So it doesn't leak anymore. Just kind of going through, checking some stuff, making sure stuff is kind of tight. All right, beautiful. All right, that worked. I'm happy about that. I'm glad that all I had to do was chase a thread. Sometimes that's all it takes. You know, my brain was going crazy, like, oh my God, I got to drill this stuff out. And turns out I didn't need to. All right, so went ahead and got that. That was the main thing I wanted to get done today. Give a video of that. I know it's super basic for most people, chasing threads. I don't know, maybe some people out there watching didn't even know what the term chasing threads were. So if it helped you, fantastic. You know, if it was easy and just made you laugh, fantastic. So let me, excuse me. Oh, what are we gonna do next? All right, so, but like I was saying, that thick paint, the guy got it. He had the yoke, which is awesome. But he's got so much paint and so many runs on it. It's super tight going in. So I want to get all of that off and just kind of start from scratch. Just get it back down to that bare metal original color. I mean, you can't see, but he's got big old like globs. I don't know if he brushed it on or what he did, and I get it. He was just trying to rescue it and keep it looking decent. But he had this little Hurst shifter. I don't know if it goes to this transmission or not. It's a lot shorter than what I want, and it is a Hurst. But if it's too short or not the right one, obviously I'm going to get another one, and then I'll probably just sell that one. I know all these Hurst shifters have numbers on them and whatnot, and it kind of tells you what model and what they are and what they're good for and whatnot. So, all right, what I'm going to do now is, pardon my big fingers in your face, but I'm going to turn the camera around and I'll walk to the truck. All right, I'm back. Okay, so here we go. I told you I'd walk you guys in it. So what I've already done is, this truck originally had twin I-beam suspension. It was a lowered suspension. It was pretty low to the ground. I wanted to get rid of that, and I was thinking Crown Vic, but then when I saw that QA1 makes their version of the Crown Vic, that's what I went with. So this is some of the stuff that I've already done. I stripped out the whole front end, kind of sanded down all the frame, painted the frame up. It kind of went like with a matte black color on it. And then installed the QA1. You're going to see that there's a lot of grease all over stuff. Where I live, it snows, and we get moisture during the winter. And even though my shop is fully insulated, real thick walls, like 2x6 or 2x8 thick walls, still get moisture in here. So this past winter, it was getting a little bit of surface rust on just some of the bare metal parts. So what I did was I hit it with a Scotch-Brite pad, went ahead and lubed them up with marine grease just to keep it from doing that. And then obviously as I start putting it together, I'll wipe the grease off and, you know, clean it all up and whatnot. But I went through and did this and got that QA1 in there, which I love and I'm super happy with. I've got some used Hedman headers that I got off of a guy that was building, I think it was like a 77 or 78 F100 pickup. And he had some unfortunate circumstances and wound up parting it out. And so I got the headers from him. So the only thing I really need to do is over here on the old passenger side, or the right side, it does hit right here just a tad. I mean, barely. It bolts up, but it kind of just touches it a little bit. So I marked it on the other header, and I'm going to heat it up and get a piece of pipe, and we'll go through that and get it to fit better, which I'll video all that. But that's the 460 that I have. You know, still got the engine gig bob on there. I also eventually want to get rid of this contraption. I've been looking and doing some research on the Willwood brake system and the one that is boosterless, because when we had this on the dyno, like a lot of us, we didn't think about it till later on. We forgot to check the vacuum. So I don't know if with the cam and the way this engine's set up, we don't even know if it has enough vacuum to run a booster. I don't really want to get the electric boost motor deal that they have for them. So I started talking to guys at the different car shows that have the Willwood with no brake booster, and it's got the proportioning valve, front and rear disc, which I'm going to convert the rear to disc as well anyway, do the whole system. And they love it, and their vehicles are way heavier than this truck. Give you a little walk down the side. There's a fleet side. We did have to skin this fender. I believe the guy that I bought it off of said that his, not very fast, but his wife turned out of the garage or whatever and kind of destroyed the old fender. So we skinned it. He already had the stuff for it. I'll give you the inside look on it a little bit. It's got the stock style gauges on it. I believe they are the stock gauge. The knobbers, whatnot. Got a little, instead I got a little horn button here. Put that little GT steering wheel in it when my older son was driving this as his high school car. But the truck's not too bad. You know, the headliner's pretty good. Seat cover. The seat itself is not real tore up. The guy just had the cover on it, and then I just kept it on it because I think the seat's like red and white. I got the side of it, and I got a moving blanket laying on it. And in the back, I just have like my fenders, my inner fenders. I've got my cold case aluminum radiator. These are the rims that came on it, and I really do I think I want to keep these rims on it for now, just kind of a little old school, polish them up. I think they look really good polished up. But for the most part, the truck's in really good condition. Not a lot of rust. I've got some up here on the drip rail that is probably beyond my body skills. All right, so that was kind of a tour around the truck a little bit, just kind of give you the basics of what we're working with and what I'm going to do the majority of my videos on. I cannot wait to get this thing running again because let me tell you, when this thing got on the dyno, you know what I'm talking about. 6 to midnight, baby. 6 to midnight. You know, it was just thumping on there, sounding good. You know, fingers crossed, hoping, you know, anytime you go on a dyno, you don't want to blow your stuff up. Been there when my cousin, we blew his motor up on the dyno. That's a whole nother story. But, you know, it's got the stock wiring laid up here. I'm a big labeler. I am not a wiring genius. I can kind of work my way through it a little bit. But it's been a long time since I've done wiring. Eventually, it's probably going to need a whole rewire that I would like to attempt myself. But for now, I'm just going to stick with, to get it back on the road, I know the wiring is good enough to get it back on the road because we drove it for several years. So for now, I'm just going to leave the stock wire. That's why I labeled everything up and I kept it. I've got it taped to the windshield, looped around the side because I know it is good enough to get this thing running. Eventually, some of the other things I want to do is later on down the line when I get the money and the time, I want to convert the rear probably to like a QA1 suspension. They have a really nice, I think they call it like a 5-link, but they have a really nice rear suspension kit that I want to get. I also want to eventually take the gas tank out from behind the seat, like it is in most old trucks, and I want to put it behind this. You know, there's kits and all kinds of tanks and that can go behind the rear end. But for now, I'm going to leave that stuff where it's at because my goal is to get it back on the road. Those are kind of going to be things that I do as like an upgrade once it's on the road because you guys know how it is. If you're waiting to get the time and the money to do it all, it's going to take you a lot longer. I have the ability to get this on the road and drive it while I save up the money and get those parts. The gas tanks aren't too bad, but that rear suspension kit, I believe, is even more than the front suspension kit. It's several $1,000s. So I don't want this sitting here for a couple years just waiting on me to get the time and money to do the rear suspension when I can get this thing out there, get it on the road like it is. I need to do like a front radiator cowl, and I think it's literally like the front radiator cowl and the brake system, and that'll get it on the road. Other than, you know, it's a stock Ford 9-inch rear end, so it's got the old one-wheel peel. There is no tab on the rear end, so one of the other things that you're going to watch me video is I need to pull the axles out, and if it's not stamped on the axles, I get to sit there and, you know, count each spline because I don't know if it's a 29 spline, 30, 31, 32. I'm not sure. I believe some of the trucks came 30, 31 spline-ish, somewhere around there. Um, but I want to double check because I do want to get, the limited slip posi in it. And that's something I need to know is what spline axles do I have? Um, so we'll go through all that stuff on video. Um, I'll show you guys. I think on the next video, what I'd like to do is pop the engine out, get it on the engine stand, get the oil pan stuff taken care of, get it off of there, get this transmission mounted onto it, and stuff her back in so we can figure out if what cross member we need to do. Is the one I have good enough? Do I need to modify it? Is the one that's still left in the truck good enough? Or do I need to buy one or make one, Um, so that's probably going to be the next step. What I'm going to do. Some of you might be wondering, I'm sure you see my hat that says widows, Well, the widows are a group of friends of mine, and that's just what they call themselves. We just call ourselves the widows. Everybody's big movie buff, but everybody in that group, these are those once in a lifetime friends, and when you get older, you realize who those are. We all have. You've got whether a group of them, whether it's one of them, a couple of them, it doesn't matter. But I'm fortunate enough to have a group of buddies called the Widows that are just there for whatever you need. The one reason why I mention it is because you may hear me say things like everybody in our group, first, they're all gearheads. Everybody's got some type of vehicle, whether it's race cars, hot rods, whatever. Everybody's got vehicles. Big group of gearheads, and everybody has a nickname. So you might hear me say, "Oh, Car Bomb showed me this," or "Touchdown showed me that," or "Rico, I got a hold of Rico and Rico showed me this," or Doc J, or Dozer, or Shitbox, or whatever. Everybody has a nickname for one reason or another. And you know how it is. We don't choose our nickname. Our nicknames are given to us. You can't give yourself a nickname, guys or girls. You can't do it. It's got to be given to you. So be patient. If your friends are nickname people, you'll get one. Whether it's good or not, whether you like it or not, who knows? But every now and then I'll be working on it. Well, and you might hear me say something rather than just say like, "Oh, a buddy of mine," "Oh, a friend of mine," which I do that a lot too. Sometimes it's going to slip and I'm going to say their nickname and you're going to see who it is, and or you're going to hear the nickname and wonder, who the hell is he talking about? Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Widows, So we all used to live in the same state. Now we're all spread out between, New York, Maine, Texas, California. We're all over the place now. So we all try to get together when we can. But we're all just a phone call away. We're all just a text message away. And we all help each other out whenever we can. So rather, if you hear me randomly say, "Oh, Rico helped me do this," versus, "Oh, my buddy did," you'll know what it's from. It's from the Widows. All of us widows, we stick together. So good little shout out to the boys. Gotcha, boys. Yeah. So amongst our group, we got guys that are, all around guys. We got guys that are great at fabrication, great at wiring, great at engine stuff. I got guys that, in that group that are just big tear down, put together, measure it all out, engine builders. We got guys that are all around guys. We got some guys that are good fabricators, really good fabricators. Rico, Touchdown, those guys are top notch fabricators. They're kind of all around guys too, with a lot of that stuff. So I lean on those guys every now and then. There's stuff that I know how to do, stuff that I haven't done in a long time, stuff that I may have forgotten how to do. But we're going to go through all that, and I'm going to work through it. And if I got to lean on those guys, I will. But I just kind of wanted to, A, give them a shout out, and B, let you know that when I say something like Touchdown or Rico or Car Bomb, I'm actually talking about another human being. I'm not just saying some random word. You know how you guys are. When it comes to your buddies that have nicknames, the nickname comes out before my buddy, my friend, or their real name. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. And if you haven't realized, it's not a far trip for me to go off on a tangent. I can go off on a tangent about whatever. I'll be talking about engines one time and somehow that leads into what's on the barbecue grill. I don't know. I don't know how it happens. It just happens. Maybe it's old age. I don't know. Maybe it's me just babbling. But those are kind of the things I want to do to this truck. Um, so I think that's probably going to do it for now. I'm going to, hopefully next time I do a video, you'll see that this truck is a little more away from the garage doors. I'm going to kind of revamp my shop out a little bit, and I want to move it in a little more. I need a little more room on both sides of it to do some of the stuff that we want to do. So I'm hoping to get the shop cleaned up. I apologize, it's kind of messy. Just so we can walk around it more, I can get the axles out, just all that type of stuff, and get it away from the doors that moisture comes in through the winter. Um, Another thing is, I had full intentions of going to the Syracuse Nationals this year, but for some reason they changed it from Friday, Saturday, Sunday to Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Not a problem. My rotating work schedule, I had days off during the week, and Thursday was my last day off of my weekend. Forgot that the Nationals started, and I signed up for overtime. So I did not get to go to the Syracuse Nationals this year, but I was going to go, and I was going to video some of it, kind of show some of you that have never been. It is a huge car show, and I was going to take you guys for a ride on through there. I apologize. I didn't get to it this year. Like I said, I signed up for overtime Thursday. I didn't remember it until the day before that the Nationals was starting that day, and then so I didn't put in for Friday and Saturday off like I normally would. So I wound up not going to it at all, especially being that I was on overnight schedule. So maybe next year, maybe if I get a chance to go to some of the small car shops, or excuse me, small car shows. We have a lot of ice cream shops and stuff, and a lot of these places throughout the summer do small car shows. So if I can get around to getting to some of those, I'll definitely take some video and show you guys what's over here on the East Coast. As far as that goes. But until then, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. If you want, hit that subscribe button, and it is free. And if you like it, hit the like button as well. But I appreciate you coming back. I appreciate you checking out me kind of babbling around, talking about God knows what, doing a little project, maybe making an ass myself. I don't know. It is what it is. And I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.